Outtakes Movie Podcast. I'm Sam and we are still wrapping up our little quest to go through and find 25 best movies of all time and 25 worst movies of all time, 50 movies that encapsulate that. I'm joined as always by my amazing team. Amelia, how's things?
Things are doing great. It's very dark now all of a sudden though. I do feel like we're back to the beginning.
Yeah, winter nights. At least we're not actually doing it at like 11 o'clock at night and falling asleep in the middle of it. Joe, how's things?
Pretty good. Not too bad. Can't complain.
Hey.
I'm got lots of lights. Got this light. There's about 4 lights on above me.
It's a weird
Good
flex.
old not. Yeah, I know. Yeah, all my bulbs. What do you mean? Man can afford bulbs.
I thought you said someone else then.
Bulbs.
And Jacob,
Yeah.
how about you?
I'm here and I've only got 2 lights on.
Scrub.
Oh man.
So this week we are covering, I've definitely completely self-indulged, we are covering Transformers the movie from 1986. I'm looking forward to having a good chat about it, and for heads up any Transformers fans, I might not be as generous as you think I might be. But before we talk about the film, let's do our normal little roundup into the world of pop culture from the time, 5th of December 1986. Christmas is in the air. How many Christmas songs are in the charts? None. 0.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
There was a lot of stuff here where I recognized a lot of the artists in the charts, but they were songs that have kind of been left to the wayside. The stuff that I've got is from the very, very top of the charts, which are all, I'd say, quality stuff. So number 4 was Living on a Prayer by Bon Jovi.
Whoa!
Absolute classic. Number 2, Take My Breath Away. Top Gun was out around a similar time.
Top Gun, yeah.
And number 1, The Final Countdown by Europe.
A very appropriate song for
It was, yeah.
current situation.
Yeah.
Given that this was the 80s, basically nothing significant happened this month in the world of video games. I think a baseball game came out. In the world of cinema, however, this was quite interesting. So given that it was the 80s and given that cinema releases were a little bit handled differently than they are today, i.e. not quite as uniform globally, I've got a little list of films that came out here but probably had different release dates in the US and some international ones as well. So as far as UK release date films in the cinema, you could have seen Short Circuit.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh my
What
god.
is that?
Have you never seen
You've
it?
never seen
It's so yeah.
Johnny, so you've seen Johnny 5, right? The robot? Johnny 5 is alive?
No.
Okay, right. So you
I
know...
feel like you'd recognise it.
You would definitely recognise it. You know Lego Mindstorms?
Yes.
Oh,
yeah,
man.
okay.
Okay. So he looks like that, right? He's this robot. He's this robot that looks exactly like that, like an adult Wall-E. And he's alive and he's got sentience and a bunch of... I can't really remember the first movie that much. But basically,
Yeah, I've seen it like
a
twice.
bunch of... it's either scientists or terrorists or governments or someone is hunting down Johnny 5 because he's so super intelligent, be really valuable to the research, but all he wants to do is live in a caravan and be normal.
Right.
It's such a weird
It's a weird movie. And then in the second film, they make lots of little Johnny 5s. They try and commercialize Johnny 5 and put him in everyone's home, but they're like dangerous weaponized Johnny 5s, and he gets a mohawk. Look,
Nice.
it's weird.
All
It
right.
happened.
You probably do
Sure.
recognize the design. Would I recommend checking? I enjoyed them as a kid. I don't know.
I feel like they don't hold up. I'm
wouldn't be
gonna go on a
surprised.
limb and say that those robot movies from the 80s don't hold up. But then I could be talking about any robot movies from the 80s. You know what I mean?
Could be talking about any robot movies from the 80s.
Exactly.
Well, maybe it held up a little bit better than Howard the Duck.
Oh man.
I mean, maybe that was the first Marvel film, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
First Marvel film that was released
Nice.
theatrically. At the very least, Short Circuit didn't have duck titties. So,
Yeah.
See, I've still not watched it.
Did it
And
have-
I'm okay.
Did it have robot titties instead?
I don't think it did have robot titties. I think he was in love with a real girl, but I don't
You
know that they
what
ever got their titties
is really
out.
strange
What?
about that though? So Howard the Duck obviously appears in Guardians of the Galaxy, doesn't he?
Yes.
Briefly, little cameo.
Mm-hmm.
You know what
And in,
also appears in Guardians
Infinity
of the
War.
Galaxy franchise? Oh yeah, he does. But you know what also appears in Guardians of the Galaxy franchise?
Go on.
Robot titties in the second one.
Oh,
That beginning
shit.
bit.
Yeah.
There you go.
Robot titties
Next
do
one right
appear.
there. James Gunn knows what he's doing.
My God.
Exactly.
It's all a short circuit Howard the Duck mixed universe conspiracy.
Exactly.
And Crocodile Dundee came out as well, the first one.
Okay. Yeah.
Nice.
Internationally, we also saw the release of Little Shop of Horrors and Platoon. So, fairly stacked as far
That's
as the
the thing,
cinema
isn't
goes.
it?
Is
Isn't that
Platoon
the-
the Mickey take one?
Is that the Charlie Sheen one?
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
Man.
like we said, we're not covering any of those movies. We're covering Transformers, the movie. I gave y'all a little bit of homework to watch 2 episodes of the original show. Did you? How did you find them?
I watched one of them.
Tried,
Cool.
couldn't find
couldn't
it.
get the
I
other
don't
one
know,
to
I didn't
work.
look hard enough.
I watched
all good.
both of them. To make sure I watched the right ones, one of them was the sun one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where they tried to do the thing with the sun.
Yep.
And that was the one where Cog got he just became like a different character, right?
So he's called Gears. The episode was called
Not Cog. Okay,
It's
Gears,
fine. There is a Transformer called Cog. It's okay. They've all got nonsense car names. If you get them mixed up, doesn't matter. Yeah, so the episode was called Changing Gears, where the whole prospect was that one of them, a little Autobot called Gears, is grumpy all the time. So he gets like mind altered to have a really happy temperament, but that means he's also really happy to help the Decepticons, and they want to, I think it's like blow up the sun or something. Or get energy from the sun.
God.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What was the other one? I've completely forgotten.
The other one was called the Immobilizer, where an Autobot called Wheeljack
Oh yeah.
invents a machine that can keep them completely stationary, and all the Autobots got frozen, so they have to try and figure out a way to undo it. So given that you've watched it, and what I wanted to sum up was like the tone, how would you describe the tone of the 80s show?
All right, it was let's have an adventure for 20 minutes,
Mm-hmm.
and that's it.
Pretty
Just
fun-filled.
Yeah, it's
Pretty
okay.
light,
It was
yeah.
Enclosed. I'd imagine if I was a kid in the 80s, it would have been a nice like 20 minutes, just sit.
even
watch some
a kid today,
colorful
I
cars.
reckon.
Well, yeah, to be fair,
It would be fine. It's just quick adventure, cool character designs, cool
Mm-hmm.
characters. Like they all look different. Yeah.
Yeah. There's no,
good
Buy
cartoon.
toys of them all.
There's nothing to really worry about in the universe of the original show. It's always like there's a status quo. We're gonna have a fun adventure, and then we're always gonna retain to the status quo, even if you get frozen or broken or whatever. It doesn't matter because at the end of the day, we'll all get together, rebuild each other, and move on. At the start of the Transformers movie, millions of children die.
Yes.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's a very dramatic shift from one to the other.
Right. This bit at the beginning, watching this bit at the beginning, it's so much happens. There's so many different colours. It actually gave me a headache.
Yeah,
Is
that's
this
fair.
the bit with the shopping mall? Like Transformer shopping mall?
Yeah, there's a little mall,
Yeah.
there's little kids
Yeah,
running around
okay.
it, going, laughing, having a good time. And then Unicron, a planet that eats other planets, shows up and
like a big
completely
butthole.
obliterates it. As you mentioned, Joe, the colours go insane. It is every like stereotype of Japanese anime from the 80s that is likely to give you a seizure.
Yeah.
This period of time was mostly like animation companies, especially from Japan, just trying to constantly outdo each other and be ever more ridiculous. So it was how much violence can we possibly throw into something? How much debris? How much like if we can't do blood, what liquids can we do to just throw everywhere? And it's throwing everything at the fan and hoping that some of it sticks. Given that this movie has such a cult following now, and added to the fact that as a film it's not that great, I will go ahead and say that they probably achieved their goal of like throwing so much that like as in the mind of a child watching it, it kind of like it can't help but stay there. Like I've never seen anything like this before, you know. So yeah, it's kind of a weird start to that movie. I've got a little bit of trivia for you. The planet that's destroyed, it gets briefly mentioned by name, like in one scene much later in the film, as Lithome. Lithome. Original documents for the plans for the movie reveal that it was originally called Lithone and was supposed to be a planet of rock creatures, right? Now, that would be completely innocuous. However, at the time, there was a couple of competing toy brands going around that were very similar to Transformers. One of them was called the Rock Lords, which were a bunch of little monster toys that transformed into rocks. I can't imagine why they didn't turn up. Like, why didn't they kick up? You know what I mean? But essentially, this movie was going to open with the villain destroying the competitor's home planet. At the last minute, they decided to not do it. I kind of wish they did.
That would have been hilarious.
That would be so good.
Yeah. So immediate questions for everyone, as people who have not really seen this before ever. What was your first impression of Unicron? That's a quite intense villain.
He's got a cool design though.
Yeah.
Oh, it's like Galactus, but he's a planet.
It is very much just Galactus, but he's a planet. Yes.
He's even got the weird horn helmet thing.
Yeah.
So they're very on the nose with it.
I've got a question. So they've released obviously Transformers. Obviously, my knowledge of Transformers is very limited, but they released that huge thing, didn't they?
Yeah.
Is that him?
That's him. Yeah, okay. That's him.
With all of the big, say, spiky things coming off him. And
the biggest Transformer ever. It costs something like £600. It's fucking huge. Yeah, it's not actually out yet, but you've been able to pre-order it now for some time.
Right.
It's kind of insane. I've got a slightly smaller one up on the shelf over there. So yeah, this movie is set between the second and third seasons of the show. There's a 20-year time skip gap, and in that time, the Decepticons have completely taken over control of Cybertron, and the Autobots have little bases on each of their moons. They're very much doing a Star Wars thing, like Empire, Rebellion. There's lots of little references to Star Wars throughout this.
Sound effects for one.
I was going to say.
God.
So yeah, as far as sound effects go, there's a lightsaber in it. There's a literal lightsaber in it that uses lightsaber sound effects. There's lightsaber sound effects used for Unicron's eyes later on in the film. Almost every Decepticon has the Millennium Falcon flying sound effect accompanying it. Yeah, they've stolen quite a lot of sounds from Star Wars.
I was going to say, did they steal it, or did they due to budget reasons? Do you
Maybe there was
went,
a CD just flying around.
Library. Yeah.
It was recognizable as being a Star Wars noise though. Like, you know, when you go to Poundland and you see a laser sword and it's just called that because I don't think that's trademarked or something, and it makes lightsaber noises, but it's just generic. It's not a Star Wars lightsaber noise.
It's not the light. Yeah.
It was
the lightsaber sound.
Very obviously like a lightsaber noise.
Yeah.
In this, I feel, but then again, I fucking wank off Star Wars, so it's, I'm gonna know what it sounds like.
So yeah, basically they're like, right, Optimus Prime is all like, right, mate, Ironhide, I need you to go and take a ship and go and get some Energon, because we need Energon. That's Energon, by the way, is the everything in the Star Wars universe. They use it to power themselves. It's food, it's drink, it's the reason for the war. Energon is your catch-all MacGuffin for the entire everything that happens in the franchise.
You mean the Transformers universe?
Yes.
Okay. Cool.
It's basically a petrol source, yeah. But they consume it as everything. There's in the comics, they find out ways to change the I don't know what the word is, but they change the specifics of the Energon, the chemicals, to essentially find a way to make alcohol, so all the Transformers can get drunk. It's good
amazing.
Stuff.
Is that when you go fill up your car and you've got those super fine petrol and that's they're
yeah, it's getting them pissed. So yeah, he's like, right, go and we need to go to Earth. But unbeknownst to them, Laserbeak, a little bird transformer, is watching them.
He's a little shit.
He flies off to Megatron, and he's one of Soundwave's little tapes, and they find out, and basically they go and storm the ship. So
I kind of love the way they have to listen to tapes is by asking his mate to turn it into a
put this inside here,
and he's like, go on, play. Imagine he just wants to listen to Spotify or something. He just gets his mate over, so he's just like, I come over, turn into a radio. It's like, oh, but I'm doing radio now. Just as he's chilling.
Well, okay, there's a fair point, right? This is something that passes me by as someone who's way too used to Transformers, but in the modern day, the conception of Transformers is Transformers are things that transform into vehicles, planes, that sort of stuff. In the original continuity, Transformers could transform into fucking anything. So Soundwave was a boombox, and all of his little companions were tapes. Was it at all weird to discover, for any of you, that the original Megatron became a gun?
Yes, I was
knew
so
about
confused.
Yeah. But the fact that he was like, "Oh, I'll stop you," transformed into a gun for Soundwave to shoot. It's like so if you
how
you're
did he...
useless unless someone else
someone
is there
else
to
has
shoot you.
Use a trigger, yeah.
Even then,
weird.
like spoilers for the later on in the movie, he transforms when he becomes Galvatron. He can transform into a gun that he can shoot by himself.
Yeah.
But still, he can't move. He's just a turret.
So hilarious.
Completely
So
useless,
hilarious.
isn't he? He's completely useless. So yeah, I'm pretty sure Megatron becomes a Walther P-35, which I'm fairly certain is a Nazi gun, and
Oh my God.
the original toy, the original toy of Megatron was so lifelike that it was banned over here, and cannot be sold to this day, even if you stick an orange cap on it. Like, if you want to
So
sell a
weird.
Megatron, you're selling it on eBay or you're selling it at a convention hall. No stores could. If they wanted to reissue it, no stores would be allowed to pick it up.
Wow.
That's
Oh
mad.
my
Yeah.
god! So you can buy it on the second-hand market.
Yeah.
though.
This is why Megatron is a tank or a plane or a big lord or nothing usually in other adaptions, because they physically cannot sell that shit anymore. So yeah, it is completely strange, and he often jumps into the hands of Starscream, who is the least trustworthy person on the entire planet, and constantly tells him that he wants him dead. But regardless, he keeps. I
Pulls
really
back
don't know
trigger.
why Starscream just doesn't go, in half. Chuck him away. Don't happen. So, the Decepticons get on this ship, and inside are 4 main characters who are about to meet their demise. Brawn, Ratchet, Ironhide, and Prowl, who are all main characters who were in most of the episodes of the show, were in the episodes that I sent you guys. That was one of the secret reasons I wanted you to watch them, because I wanted to find out that, essentially, this movie has a really high body count, and they're all fucking main characters. They're intense
Ballsy.
as well. Prowl, the way he dies is he gets shot by a Constructicon, and his inside's set on fire. And
Yeah, that
smoke
was
comes
really
out of his
thinking
mouth.
that. Well, like smoke just comes out and he just dies.
Yeah.
I was like, fuck. You can see the soul leave his body.
Very
Oh my
intense, isn't it?
God. Wait, so this came out between series, so there was
Yes.
another series that followed this.
Mhm.
See, when all these characters were dying, I was like, oh, maybe this is just like when there's a show and then they have a film to end it. But then this show carried on without all these characters in.
Yeah.
Mad.
It's
Ballsy move, that.
the body count's going to get higher before it gets smaller. Do you want to take a guess as to why this happened, though? The answer is quite cynical. I'll give you a heads
So
up.
They
release
want
new
some
toys,
new
yeah?
toys to sell.
Bingo.
God, Transformers.
They were coming out with a new toy range, and they were discontinuing old toys. Essentially, they just was like, well, if the characters aren't around anymore, the kids won't care. It won't matter that the old toys are gone, so kill them off. That was it. That was the
Oh my God,
instinct.
that's so brutal.
Oof.
What they didn't count on was quite how effective their ad style had been. This whole idea of like, let's get kids attached to characters on screen and then want to buy toys of them. It was very, very effective. It wasn't just monetarily effective, and we'll get into the repercussions that had later on. So,
Cool.
that invasion essentially begins the Battle of Autobot City. But before we can get there, we're introduced to a brand new character called Hot Rod, who's out fishing. Whoa, look at the size of it. Yep, it's a whopper, all right. They're talking about fish. It's okay, don't worry about it. So Hot Rod's there with a little boy called Daniel, who is the son of the human companion from the first 2 seasons. And the ship's coming into land.
Is he
Go on.
a kid in the series?
In the series, yeah. Spike is...
Yeah,
his dad's called Spike, and he's probably 15, 16, that sort of age. Daniel's much younger than he was, but he's basically just there to replace him as the kid's sidekick for the 3rd season. So Daniel wants to go and see the shuttle land. Talk about dull, Daniel! And in his, kind of not wanting to see the ship, he's so what a boring activity. He seems to manifest this incredible rock soundtrack, and he dares.
I was just gonna say the music is like so 80s. It's great.
It's not what I was expecting at all.
Isn't it?
For a film like this.
Ridiculous. So yeah, there's 2 standouts. There's a lot of tracks. When the Decepticons are killing the Autobots, there's a rad metal soundtrack to go along with it, just to accompany your favorite toys dying. They want to let you know that it's a badass thing that's happening. And occasionally you get tracks like The Touch and Dare, both of which sung by Stan Bush. Now, if they sound ridiculous and out of place in this movie, it's because they weren't written for this movie. So both of these songs were intended to be played in Rocky films. That's where they were supposed to go. Yeah. So they were commissioned to I mean, think about like the original Rocky soundtrack and its super affirmating, kind of songs. That's the exact style of song they were told to write, and at the last minute they were like, we don't really want to go in this direction. So these two songs just existed in limbo with nowhere to go. Marvel Entertainment, who produced the movie, picked them up, put them in there, and now they are completely synonymous with Transformers.
That's so cool.
The touch shows up in Bumblebee. It also shows up in the end of Saints Row 4. It like accompanies you on the way to the last boss battle, where your main character and the final boss engages in the exact same dialogue as Optimus and Megatron does, as a ridiculously overt reference. And I think because this song has now become so attached to the 80s, it's also appeared in shows like Glow as part of training montages, just to kind of do pump up stuff. So yeah, they get there, and there's a hole in the shuttle, and like a fucking moron, Starscream stood in the hall. So they immediately are like, right, Decepticons, and so begins like the big proper battle. So this is where we get like a lot of our deaths. I'm not going to talk it through the whole way through. It's going to be ridiculous. But there's a lot of back and forth. I think the Battle of Autobot City is a pretty pump up time. It's a good sort of battle, lots of back and forth. The animation's cool. What did you guys think of it?
I think the animation's really cool.
Yeah.
And I also think, and it's not necessarily animation like you say, but I can see why everyone's so nostalgic for this Transformers and like why people still love it to this day, is because even though they're quite boxy, it's really cool to look at. Like I don't know if that's because it's like nostalgia and stuff, but so I think the animation just kind of is fun and kind of different.
Yeah.
See, I'm real, like I know I said at the beginning that the bit at the beginning gave me like a headache because it's so colourful and stuff, but like throughout the film I appreciated the aesthetic a lot more than I thought I would. Like I didn't actually know like the designs and like the drawings and the artwork and stuff. It gives me kind of like early cyberpunk vibes, like kind of
That's
like
fair.
Lots of chrome and lots of just one colour, but it's all got loads of detail drawn into it. Like there's a lot of like cyberpunk artists now that draw just cyberpunk stuff, but it looks a lot like this. So you can kind of see where like that stuff now has been definitely 100% been influenced by Transformers. But I didn't realise like until watching this just how influential the design was. Like I was looking at it like, man, it looks pretty sick. There's a lot of chrome, but it's cool. It's good. But yeah. And like the battles and stuff, it's just really sick. The thing I really love, instead of obviously it being like blood and stuff, they have like the smoke that comes out.
Yeah.
But like, I just think it looks cool. Like the way the smoke like comes out of that thing, it just looks so sick. The way it's like different colours and stuff, it's so cool. But yeah.
Yeah, I think you're totally right. There's a lot of stuff with this movie where even when I was a kid and I was first watching it, it was this realization of holy shit, this has inspired a lot of stuff. Like I could be wrong about this, but there's a line at the end that is kind of iconic. Not today, Galvatron. That's definitely what inspired the Buzz Lightyear thing, right? Not today, Zerg.
Probably.
It's got to be. It's said in exactly the same way.
I reckon it is, yeah.
Exactly the same context. So in the Battle of Autobot City, we meet our principal characters for this. So these are all new characters. They weren't in any of the previous seasons. So there's Ultra Magnus, the leader one, Springer, the cool one, Blur, the fast one, and RC, the girl one. The franchise has had an iffy history when it comes to women. Essentially, the original plan was to make some of the girls Transformers. Sorry, some of the Transformers girls, just randomly, and then that was shut down because they were like, Hasbro were like, well, we've got girl toys already. We're making a boys toy, so they can't be girls anymore. And then eventually, creatives were like, that's ridiculous. We're gonna start putting girls in here. But RC was the first proper main character one, and as a result, she has Princess Leia hair and lipstick and boobs and a thin waist. And it's just a bit strange, you know.
Didn't look like a Transformer. Yeah. She looked like a robot woman. Whereas all of the other Transformers don't look like robot guys; they look like Transformers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know about you guys.
Sorry, go on.
The platform I watched this on was Facebook of all places, right?
Really?
Has uploaded this to Facebook, so I was just watching it on Facebook. And when it was done, I was like, oh, I'll see what other people thought of it. Let's have a look at the comments. And like, 6th top comment was a sexy drawing of RC.
No.
Because of course it was.
Do you want to know some horrible little factoids about IC? This is more fandom stuff than it is official stuff, but it's still. I'll go into it. Okay, so IC's design set a couple of bad precedents, right? So one, all other girl Transformers have to look like IC in some way, which is ridiculous. They're slowly starting to break out of that now, which is for the betterment of not only like creators but also the toys, because most of them look fucking awful. They can't really transform because they can't really accommodate all the car bits and all the people bits. You know, usually, like, when you look at the guys, you look at Optimus Prime and he's got tit windows and a grill ab. You know what I mean? It's primarily, it's truck stuff, you know? But, like, with the characters like RC, the demand was that it has to look like a breast first and robot or car bits later, and that set a bad precedent. So, essentially, there was no good official IC toys until 2015. So the way that Transformers used to operate was they had a toy line. They licensed most of the toys from Japan, and then they interpreted those toy designs into character models. For the movie, they did character designs first and then made toys based off of that design. It was the first time they kind of flipped it around. So IC was this troublesome design, basically, where they tried and they failed so badly to make a good toy that they cancelled the project outright. So I have got a third-party IC, which is pretty decent, which is probably the best one on the market. She doesn't look that weird. There is a sort of weird bit where around the waist it looks like they've molded, like, you know, the little V. Not into that. Not necessary, but they've done it. But that's far from the worst thing that has happened to an IC toy. So another third-party IC toy had an add-on kit where, no joke, you could replace her chest with human breasts.
Why?
Let me guess, were they
that
foam?
was squidgy, yes.
Oof.
How many weeaboos were out there, like, fully motorboating it? That's what I worry about.
The worst thing about it was a lot of people online were quite rightly critical of this design, and there was a significant amount of people who were like, "Shut up, let us have our horny, sexy robot toy."
Grim.
You know for a fact she's got one of those mouse pads from Japan where, like, you rest your hand on the boobies. You know for a fact she's got one of them somewhere.
They'll exist somewhere. Yeah, no doubt in my mind.
God.
No doubt in my mind. So yeah,
Oof.
it's a shame she set such a bad precedent. However, she did get women in the franchise, and there has been recent efforts to try and rectify those things. That is good. We'll more focus on that. So, as the battle goes down, Optimus Prime shows up. Lots of things start going down. A bunch of them combine into a big robot called Devastator. They try and shoot a big missile out of it. One of my genuine favorite lines ever happens where Springer goes, "I got better things to do tonight than die," and then fires a big rocket. Cool shit. Big Indiana Jones energy. I'm into it. So Optimus Prime gets down and he's like, right, Megatron's got to be stopped. They have a big punch off, big back and forth. It's nice. There's cheesy lines. There's one weird, horrible animation bit where in the middle of the well-animated fight, he sort of just grabs Megatron's neck and it turns the entire... There was no weight to it. Whatever. So they fight, and then Megatron's like, "Oh shit, I'm actually gonna die here. And starts begging for mercy." But then he notices a gun, and he's gonna try and trick Optimus Prime. Hot Rod tries to save him, but it causes him to get in the way. And to add to the ridiculously huge body count, both Optimus Prime and Megatron meet their ends as Megatron lands one final shot in him, and Optimus Prime knocks him off the edge of a fucking cliff. So there's our other thing. What was your reactions to our two principal characters of the entire franchise dying 20 minutes in?
Well, genuinely, like, I mean, I feel like anyone who knows of Transformers knows, like, Optimus Prime, you know what I mean? Like, even anyone who doesn't follow, I know Optimus Prime. Oh, so he's fucking dead. I'm like, oh, fuck. Like, Jesus Christ. Right? Like, alright?
I thought 20
I know.
minutes was too long in some ways.
Until the death.
All right. Oh,
Yeah, because I didn't go in watching this thinking this is a standalone Transformers movie. Like, I wasn't expecting character introductions. I was like, it's
Yeah,
you watch
fair.
the TV show, then you watch this. That's what I was expecting. And for him to die like 20 minutes, this is only like an hour and a half, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you're a good way in by this point, and then he dies. I don't know. The pacing for me was off. I
That's
thought,
fair.
why not open on a battle of something, and then Optimus dies during that battle, like 5 minutes in, and then the rest is, oh, how are we going to go on without him? So like, but instead it was a kind of faffing about of, oh, go and get the crystals or whatever it is they get in, and like, oh, well, now we're going to follow them. Oh, and now we're having the battle. It should just opened on, here's a battle. But
I think that's fair.
yeah.
It's kind of nice to hear that interpretation, because like one of the weird things with Transformers is that in the time since this movie, Optimus Prime dying is kind of a big staple of the franchise. It always happens at some point in every continuity. In the Michael Bay films, they killed him off in the second film. They also bring him back in the second film. That's usually the way it goes. They just sort of kill him, bring him back, and that's kind of the end of it. But this was like obviously the first time it had ever been done, and was extremely shocking to the vast majority of children who went to see this film. So it wasn't already traumatic enough that a good chunk of their favourite characters had died. In fact, 16 total main characters died during the Battle of Autobot City.
Oh my god.
Some of them die off screen. For example, a character called Wheeljack, who, if you've been watching the show since the start, was the very first Transformer you ever saw.
wow.
He just dies off screen and his
They've
corpse is there.
They've basically just turned, the clearance aisle. They've turned the clearance aisle into a battle base, or a film
100%.
at this point.
Yeah.
Like, wow. Oh my
So then at the
God.
end of that, you witness Optimus Prime die in the most realistic way possible, on a hospital bed, surrounded by loved ones. It's not just that he explodes. you watch the man's fucking last breaths, which he reveals that he's got this thing inside his chest, the Matrix of Leadership, which is passed down through all the Autobot leaders, and he passes it to his mate Ultra Magnus. Drops it on the way, Hot Rod passes it to him. Now, several questions and one bit of trivia. One, this is kind of the end of the bloodthirsty part of the movie, more or less. There's a couple more coming up. Do you think it was like a good decision to make this movie like this? Should studios take similar risks? Like, the only thing I can compare it to is Infinity War, which ended by killing a lot of its principal characters, but did so knowing they were coming back. With this, they were dead. They were dead. Do you think that would actually be like, for maybe like a long franchise, a good and bold move for a studio to take?
It depends how thingy of a main character, like, because they kind of did it with like Black Widow in Endgame.
Fair. But I guess it's
But-
not just the importance of the character, but
And
the
that-
sheer number.
My comparison was going to be Star Wars. Well, the
Okay.
sequels to Star Wars. So they kill Han Solo in 7. Spoilers for, I guess. Luke in 8 and Leia in 9. But then again, they sort of it was
Had to.
Yeah.
had to. And that was basically them saying, right, out with the old, in with the new. Except Chewbacca would just sort of leave him in it because he's not one of the main characters, I guess.
My guy can't age.
Yeah, apparently. So that, and it felt right in Star Wars to kind of do that anyway. But
Yeah.
they were also like, you'd struggle to have Han Solo running about because he's however old Harrison Ford is. But with this, the animated characters can be however old you want them to be.
Yeah, true.
They can do whatever, and it doesn't seem too implausible. And they're not human, so whatever you make up your own rules for it. So I think it can work. It was just kind of strange in this, but I guess their main motive was sell more toys. That's kind of
Yes.
why they did it.
So on that note, Optimus Prime dies because Optimus Prime's toy was being discontinued and they were bringing in new toys. So kids were so upset when this happened in the cinema, right? There's a number of accounts of parents having to leave with their kid in the middle of the movie because the kid was so upset they couldn't handle it anymore.
Oh my god.
The kids that did stay were also expressing their upset to their parents, and it led to a huge letter writing campaign essentially to Hasbro from angry parents I took my kid to see your movie to have a good time, you upset my child.
You made my kid cry.
But it was done to such a degree that when they printed the movie onto VHS, they actually had to alter it slightly so that during the main credits, they added a narration that assured kids Optimus Prime would be back in the next season.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wait, was he back in the next? Wait, so was that before or after?
So essentially, the movie came out. And they're in the middle of the production of season 3. I don't, for 100% sure, know if the plan was always to bring Optimus Prime back. I'm gonna guess not, because they did not reissue his toy. I think these letters actually made them. We need to put Optimus Prime back in this show, and we need to let kids know everything's gonna be okay.
What a load of babies. Actual children. Grow up.
So yeah, all the Decepticons, they evacuate with their currently dying aboard a bigger Decepticon called Astro Train. Astro Train's I
love that,
Train.
He's a train and he's a spaceship.
As well. But it makes the train it's not like normal train sounds. It makes steam train sounds. It's got the
he's a proper old time locomotive.
So good.
Was it the main titles of the show? I think where they had a montage of all the characters, and one of them was just a purple train on some train tracks.
That's Astro Train. Yeah.
I was like, he's pretty useless. He's stuck to train tracks only. What? I mean, in this apparently he's not.
Here's the
he
thing.
Can drive on anything.
Is usually when he would become a train, he would make train tracks appear for his mobility.
What? Why don't you become a car or something instead?
It's kind of like Optimus Prime's trailer kind of disappearing and reappearing at will. There's another, he's not in the film, but there's a big robot called Omega Supreme, whose whole deal was essentially he became like a playset. So his well, not in the show, the toy, right? So what he would become, so his head would become a tank. His body would become like a big track for that tank to go around, and his from this arm to the other arm would become a big rocket ship, right? But what happens when the rocket ship goes into space and he leaves the rest of him behind?
Guess he just doesn't have to do that.
No, he doesn't. When the rocket ship becomes a robot again, the whole of him's back. Everything's just there. I don't.
Oh right. So wait, this has happened.
This has happened in the show. He's fucked off. A bit of him's fucked off, and then when he transforms, he's all there again.
Whoa. Wait, so what happened to the old bit? Is it just is it like shredding, like when bugs shred the shell or something?
I guess so. Yeah.
Does his old head just go just melt?
Nah, that's how they breed.
So weird.
There you go.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Okay, he just grows back out of his head again like
He's
another
just
one.
And it's just like a child.
This reminds me of, I remember when I was a kid, there was a season of Power Rangers called Power Rangers Ninja Storm, and one of the gimmicks in that show is that the Zords would hide among real life things. So there was a Falcon Zord, but he would hide as a plane, but it was like a commercial airliner, and when you would see it transform, it would be like at a fucking airport. So I don't know what the people on the 9:45 trip to Chile were thinking when it fucking transformed into a big plane. But the best one is a lion that hides as a roller coaster.
Wait, what?
What do you do in that situation? You've been queued up for 45 minutes to get on this ride, and then it becomes a lion and fucks off.
I'd rethink my medication.
So, Astro Train asked them to jettison some weight, so they're like, let's get rid of all the currently dying, including Megatron. Starscream personally yeets him off into space, and he encounters Unicron. So this is the first time we hear Unicron's voice. Unicron is being played by Orson Welles.
Is that...
Citizen Kane himself, innit?
There were several names came up at the start that I recognised. I was like, oh, Judd Nelson. What?
Yeah, so there's some all-star voices in this. So Judd Nelson is Hot Rod. Orson Welles is playing Unicron. This is Orson Welles' last cinematic role, by the way, before he died.
Whoa.
You start with Citizen Kane, you end with Transformers. You know, it's the way we're all gonna go. Leonard Nimoy is playing the soon-to-be appearing Galvatron. Eric Idle plays a character called Wreck-Gar. Yeah, there was a ridiculous number of all-star names in this. And a lot of the normal voice cast would play other roles. I've said a couple times during this show that Peter Cullen, who plays Optimus Prime, has shown up a couple times, as has Frank Welker, who plays Megatron. Frank Welker, his most famous role other than Megatron is probably Fred from Scooby-Doo. Peter Cullen's, his is probably Eeyore from Winnie the Pooh. So that's good stuff. They both play a couple of characters actually at the same time in this. So at the start, when Ironhide is saying, "But Prime, I want to go down and bust some Deceptichops," that's Peter Cullen speaking to himself. He plays both those characters.
They do sound kind of similar from time to time.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, basically, Megatron encounters Unicron. They have a good, nice little sass off. I really like Unicron's energy. And essentially, he's like, right, I need you to destroy the Matrix because it's the only thing that can stop me because reasons. And if you do, I'll give you a new body. And there's all these grids form in space. It's cool. And Megatron becomes
80s,
Galvatron.
Like,
It really
so
is,
80s.
So yeah, that's that. And that more or less. Oh no, actually, there's two really big things that still have to happen in what I refer to as Act 1. So after Galvatron has got his body and is alive, he races over to Cybertron, where Starscream is currently being coronated leader of the Decepticons. His goal since episode 1 of the show is to become leader of the Decepticons, and he's finally achieved it. And he receives this honor for no longer than 33 seconds.
Wait.
Before Galvatron comes in and literally disintegrates the guy.
That was the most satisfying part of the whole film, I'll be honest.
It's good, isn't it? All the lights flicker. He fucking crumbles into dust. Starscream is one of my favorite characters in the whole franchise because he is notably an idiot continuously, and I cannot think of a more fitting end than for him to get a fucking cape and a robe and a crown and then finally die. Great stuff. And meanwhile, Unicron goes on the attack and eats 2 of Cybertron's moons. So on one of them, there's 2 main characters, Jazz and Cliffjumper. They get swallowed. And on the other one, Bumblebee and Spike see that happen. And they're like, whoa, no, I don't want any business part of that. Let's destroy this entire fucking moon. And that'll get rid of the monster. So they blow it up. It isn't even dented. And Spike says the first swear in all of Transformers.
I noticed this. I was like, what? Did I mishear that?
What a guy. Shit, it isn't even dented. What a guy. So, so ends Act 1, which I call Death Comes to Us All. A harsh and real lesson. And so begins Act 2, which I call, I don't know, let's do a weird adventure movie. We've kind of run out of ideas already. Or Hot Rod's Big Day Out. That's also what I call it. So Galvatron's like, right, I've got to go and get Ultra Magnus, I guess, and destroy the Matrix. So they show up, they have a fight. Galvatron literally shakes his fist out of the window, like it's yelling at some angry kids. They've got to quickly escape. They split up into 2 teams, Ultra Magnus, Perceptor, RC, and Daniel. And on the other one, Hot Rod, Cup, and the Dinobots. I've not mentioned the Dinobots so far. What did you guys think of the Dinobots?
Are they like a separate thing that they brought together? Like, or were they always just in Transformers?
They were more or less always in Transformers from the 4th episode, something like this.
That's mad, just because I'm sure I remember having like it being like its own thing like years and years ago when I was younger, but maybe it wasn't. It was something else. There was like a spin-off or something. But I don't know, it's so weird. I thought that maybe it was like 2 different things that they brought together at some point, like in the show.
Like a crossover.
Mad. Yeah. Nah. Oh, just even that, like, oh man, that's pretty sick.
I think in particular, what did you think of the way that they spoke? The way they were kind of
so annoying. Oh, like it wasn't like they were just dinosaurs. If they'd stayed as dinosaurs, well, oh yeah, okay. But no, they're just Transformers that can transform into dinosaurs and then.
Yes.
Why?
Okay.
Does this mean that there's like Transformers somewhere that transform into like everything else, like other like animals and?
Yes.
Oh man,
So-
plants. Is there
Well-
a transformer that turns into a tree?
There may be, off the top of my head, I can't think of one. So the direct sequel to the original show and the follow-up toy line, which debuted in the mid-90s, was called Transformers Beast Wars, where the whole concept was that they transformed into animals. It was my first introduction to the show, and to be honest with you, it fucking rocks. It's dumb as bricks. It's one of, if not the first, fully 3D animated show ever, and it does not hold up visually. But my God, I love it. I've got so much nostalgia for it. And yeah, they would literally, it wouldn't be a robotic like rhino or gorilla. They would just be a rhino or a gorilla, that kind of thing. Yeah.
What, realistic looking?
As realistic as you get for 3D
I was gonna
animation.
say,
in the
That's so
90s.
weird though.
In
So
the
it,
universe, they're supposed to be like flesh.
It grows
and blood,
flesh,
like,
yeah.
open-
Yes.
oh my God, that's horror movie shit. Oh my God.
Isn't it? Right, so no, here's an interesting thing. So for example, one of the things, so that the prospect of that show was that they were the descendants of the Autobots and the Decepticons. They were totally new characters. One of them was still called Megatron, but he was like a terrorist who just idolized Megatron's ideology and decided to steal his name. That sort of thing, right? The Beast Wars' version of Megatron became a T-Rex, much like Grimlock does. On one of his arms, he had like his tail going up it, which had like a sort of sharp edge to use it as a sword, and his other arm was literally a T-Rex head. Right? Now,
Inventive.
now, the reason I bring this up is there is currently an extremely strong rumor that one of the next Transformers movies is going to be a Beast Wars movie. And I can't think of the fucking H.R. Geiger-looking motherfuckers that are going to have to be in this movie to get a realistic dinosaur head dangling off of the end of someone's arm.
Wait, so
Presents a nightmare, man.
Like not the Bumblebee, the one before it, the one with Anthony Hopkins in.
Mm-hmm.
Is that there's flashbacks, isn't there?
Yes.
To like the past or something. Is it I'm sure I remember seeing dinosaurs in that film. Is that the
There is the Dinobots are in the 4th and 5th movie, but they are distinctly these metal creatures. The thing with the Dinobots and Michael Bay is Michael Bay fucking hates the Dinobots. One of the main reasons is because the only way that he can understand Transformers, he went on record as saying, I don't get it, I'm not into it, when he first picked up the project. The thing that got him to convince him to do Transformers was that they could become sports cars and military vehicles. That's what he understands.
Wow.
So when he watched the show and discovered the Dinobots, he was like, they become dinosaurs? That's stupid. Like, he didn't comprehend, you know? So he made them as cool as physically possible. Quote unquote. But I want to see if I can flick through it at the moment. I don't know why. I can't really show you, but for reference for me, I'll flick through it. I've got a big art book from Transformers. It categorizes a lot of different stuff from the franchise, and The Last Night in particular was a bit of a production nightmare. Let's just call it that. It's got a ridiculous number of writers. I'm pretty sure Michael Bay at one point said there was a writer's room of about 16 people. And it was very clear that they were told, come up with anything. So in this art book is a couple of rejected things. Apparently at one point, one of the Beast Wars characters, who is called Optimus Primal, was supposed to appear.
Oh, no.
Who becomes a gorilla. But they were going to make him like a King Kong-sized gorilla, and he looked kind of cool. They did the flashback stuff where Bumblebee fought the Nazis and he became an armored car and stuff. But one of the things that I find fascinating is artwork of, where is it? There it is. So it is artwork of a Transformer that became the HMS Victory, which was a galleon in the 1800s. And yes, he is made of wood, and he's got an anchor for a hand.
Oh my God. Does he talk like a pirate too?
Well, he didn't make it in the movie, but I would hope so.
I imagine he would talk like a pirate. Yeah.
So if someone could get me a toy of that at some point, that would be wonderful. I don't know how they're going to do Beast Wars. It's going to be a strange thing, but that is something they want to do. Morbid curiosity want it to happen. So the thing with the Dinobots was in the original, when they first showed up, the reason they are the way they are, and there's been multiple interpretations of this later, they did not come from Cybertron, but they were instead built by the two Autobot scientists Ratchet and Wheeljack after they watched, like, I guess dinosaur documentaries or something, or maybe they watched Jurassic Park, I don't know. And they were like, wouldn't it be cool if we had some dinosaurs? So they had to uncover fossils and stuff, and they turned out stupid because dinosaurs didn't have very big brains.
Love that.
Later continuities have attempted to make it a bit more interesting, where the Dinobots were Cybertronians who just kind of existed because they wanted to move away from the whole we can build Transformers thing. It doesn't sit right. So instead they were just like normal Transformers, and then Shockwave, who appears in this, he's the purple Transformer with the huge titties. He is a scientist, and he like observes prehistoric Earth and is like basically the same thing. I wonder if we can have some of them. So he kidnaps the Dinobots and like forces them into those alt modes, but that forced kind of torture leaves them brain dead, which is distinctly darker.
So scary. Oh my god.
So they were kind of a big threat in the first like 2 seasons. In the original comics, the writer fucking loved the Dinobots. Made Grimlock like he didn't have him be stupid, but he had him be really ferocious. And at one point, he was like, "Optimus Prime, you're a weak leader." So he killed Optimus Prime and put on a crown and called himself King Grimlock and was like an evil dictator. Weird stuff.
God.
In this,
I genuinely thought you were going to say then that he killed Optimus Prime and put on his head. Just put on
Or his head as a crown. Yeah.
Just like screwed his own head off and just screwed Optimus Prime's head on.
that is also very dark. In this, however, Grimlock is basically just Lenny from Of Mice and Men, complete with a "tell me about the rabbits again" speech at one point. So, yeah, they get on 2 ships and they're trying to escape from the Decepticons, and this is where we split off into like 2 plots that run concurrently. I'm not going to bounce between the 2, I'm just going to run through one, then run through the other. So Team Hot Rod end up on the planet of the Sharktacons. And given some of the silly things that we've sighed at so far, right, there's all these Sharktacons that come to greet them, and Cup's like, wait, I'll give them the universal greeting. And Hot Rod says, "Universal greeting?" Which the question should maybe give Cup the indication that this greeting isn't as universal as the name makes it out to be. This kid doesn't know what it is. So he goes, "Yeah, it works every time. Bar weep grana weep ninny bong." Which is a line that literally feels like they got a toddler in the room and said, "Make a noise, any noise, that'll be our universal greeting."
I thought it might be something backwards. But
I don't think it is. I think it's just nonsense. No one's ever mentioned it as an idea. I think it's just nonsense. So they hand out Energon goodies, which, like I said, Energon's everything. And when they run out, the Sharktacons are like, "Right, fuck this, mate. You don't have any more food. Useless to us. Off to jail, I guess." So they get taken to this jail, and there's this creature in there called a Quintesson who has many heads. The Quintessons are a big thing. The more we learn about them, the less interesting they get, so I'm not really going to divulge. Right now, they're just a weird thing with many heads and tentacles. And the whole prospect is you walk out in front of it, and you're put on trial, and then you get they find you innocent, but they make you leave through the pit of Sharktacons. What got them, lads? So they're like, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? They've got more Sharktacons than we've got photon torpedoes. Then let's hold a demolition derby. Fucking love the lines in this movie. Rock music starts kicking off again, and they drive around so fast that they create a whirlpool. Meanwhile, the Dinobots meet a little orange boy who only speaks in rhyme.
Oh, I hate that thing. Oh, its voice.
So Wheelie is not everyone's favourite Transformer. A lot of people have had the same issue as you. Here's a little factoid. He's also voiced by Frank Welker, who voiced Megatron. So there we go. Man's got range.
Yeah, I was going to say, complete opposite characters there. Jesus Christ.
So they rock up and help Cup and Hot Rod defeat the last of the Sharktacons. And they're like, "Look, we've got a ship. It's shaped like a corkscrew." And then off they go. Meanwhile, Team Ultra Magnus have found themselves on the planet of Junk, which I actually quite like as an idea, as a sci-fi concept, that all the rubbish in space just gets like dumped here. That's kind of cool. It's got a cool design. And Galvatron follows them there, and he blows up Ultra Magnus. Uh-oh, what are we going to do? And then Eric Idle and the Junkions, they start attacking our heroes for reasons. And Weird Al's Dare to Be Stupid starts playing. To call
I mean,
this
to be
section
fair,
of the film
out of all
tonally
the songs
dissonant,
that are in
it's
there,
odd.
like out of all the songs that are in this, Weird Al is not the one that surprised me the most. Like it doesn't fit within the, it doesn't really fit in, but like it fits in more than the others do.
Yeah.
If anyone's gonna do a song for this, he's the guy. You know what I mean?
Dare to Be Stupid actually kind of accidentally sets the tone for the like weird main thesis of the film, which I think is entirely accidental, but all the pieces seem to start working. So basically, they all have a big fight, and then Cup and Hot Rod's ship starts descending. They stop fighting to watch it land, and Cup is gonna shoot Retgar and the Junkions, but then Hot Rod's like, no, wait, tell me that greeting that I thought was dumb, I'll try it. And they try it, and it works, and they love it. They all start dancing. They end Dare to Be Stupid. Oh, they also all talk TV. Do you talk TV? Were you into this? Could you fucking tell what any of them were saying most of the time?
I hated it.
Yeah.
That's totally fair. There's a couple of lines that I can tell Eric Idle is saying that I do like when he raises a junkyard ship out and says, new improved junkyard planet, new sleek sexy import with turbo handling. I was into stuff like that. That was weird. So yeah, he says it and they like it, and it's like, well, okay, that's an interesting idea, because we've got this like this machine of death that's coming. It's this constant approaching force. Since Unicron entered the plot, all of our main characters have been dying. It's dark and it's bleak and there's no hope. But like, here's Hot Rod daring to be stupid, like presenting this like counter narrative of like, what if we just have fun while we're here? And it starts working. Like, good things start happening. It's weird. So yeah, they get in it and they all go to fight Unicron, which is the start of Act 3, which is, holy shit, this movie got cool again. So Galvatron's like, right, mate, I got the Matrix, and that's the one thing you fear, so I'm going to use it on you. But he can't. And Unicron starts transforming, and it's the coolest fucking thing 10-year-old me had ever seen. Like,
I mean, to be fair, like, it's pretty sick.
The way it all sort of moves, the way there's just pistons everywhere. The rad bit where Unicron's abs show up. I know, I was into it. So he transforms, and there's a weird bit where Galvatron's like on his dick bit, like on the groin bit, but then he sort of teleports to the chin bit, and he starts shooting at Unicron, and Unicron's like, gonna eat you, mate. Well, fuck off. Drops him into his mouth, right? And then our heroes show up, and we have another line that I really fucking love from Retgar. Fly through rain, fire, and corrosion for up to 5 years. Satisfaction guaranteed. Or your money back. When it works, it works. When it doesn't, it massively fucking doesn't. So, yeah. Hot Rod dares to believe he can survive and crashes his ship right through Unicron's fucking eye. Everyone bails out of the ship, and the teams basically get split up. So I'm guessing what is Unicron's like immune system starts attacking them. All these weird claws start coming out of nowhere and chasing them. And Hot Rod descends into this pit where he meets up with Galvatron, and they start sort of duking it out. So basically, as the other team are running away, they encounter what I guess is Unicron's digestive system, which has these acid pots that for some reason have covers. I don't know why, but it does result in my actual, like, totally favourite fucking frame in the film, because Daniel's dad is about to be dropped into the acid, and he's like, quickly, close the acid cover. And he's like, I don't know how, Dad. And he's like, you've got a blaster on your exosuit, use it. And he fumbles about, and instead of getting the blaster out, he just shoots like fire out the back of his arm. And it cuts to Spike's face, and he goes, hurry! And he's filled with so much fear. It's like a really genuine, like, holy shit, my idiot son is going to be the reason I die. Oh my God, I'm going to kill this boy. So good. He blasts down the acid cover, and then Spike's like, you did it, son. You get to live another day. And Daniel, I think, recognizing the tension, goes, yeah, I did it. Like, it's such a defeatist kind of way he speaks. So, yeah, Galvatron and Hot Rod are duking it out. There's some cool stuff where Hot Rod transforms into a car and runs him over. But there's this weird bit where Galvatron starts choking Hot Rod, which brings up so many questions. Like, to this day, this question's never been answered. It shouldn't be answered. I'm not interested in the fucking respiratory systems of the Transformers, but like,
It's certainly
choking him.
Like, if he does that, shouldn't his like throat just be permanently like
crushed? Yeah, you'd think.
They can breathe.
It just sponges back
and underwater, but not when someone is strangling them.
So as he's getting choked, Galvatron's Matrix starts dangling in front of Hot Rod. He puts his hands on it, and it like activates, and then he grows into Rodimus Prime. Oh dear. Like, you created the character. You could have called him anything. You called him Rodimus Prime.
It's just laughable.
He grows about 6 inches and gets a slightly more manly voice. But here's the weird thing, right? He was a cool fucking sports car, and now he's a fucking Winnebago.
Sounds like he just went through puberty. Grew like an extra 6 inches, got a more manly voice, and it's something called Rodimus Prime.
Oh man, well, that's what it is. This movie, it's all just a metaphor for puberty. Yeah. So Hot Rod believes, and this belief and this ability to dare and everything allows him to open the power of the Matrix and destroy Unicron. Unicron, who dies in the most violent way possible, where all of his insides start exploding, and it's so painful he rips his own leg off just to try and alleviate some of it, which is insane. They all kind of escape, I think, outside of his other eyeball, rip him and his eyesight, and then his head explodes off.
But they don't go through the same one. That's just like...
It's just adding insult to injury, isn't it?
Yeah, literally, yeah. Like they have the choice. It's like, oh, let's go through that hole. It's like, nah, fuck that, man. Let's just go through his other eye. Bitch is dying anyway. Let's just fucking do it.
So yeah, he blows up, and Rodimus announces a new age of peace and prosperity that will soon come to an end in the Transformers Season 3. And that is Transformers, the movie. So one last little thing I want to talk about before we do our own thoughts is critical reception to the film, which was beyond poor. Critics hated this movie. It's kind of no surprise. Like, they were all adults who were asked to go and see this movie, specifically targeted at kids, specifically to sell them toys. There is a lot of film stuff that really doesn't work in this movie. Two of the big things are, A, the writing. There kind of isn't really that much right. It's mostly one-liners. Like, there's no interesting dialogue, you know, it's all just like... And as a result, all the one-liners have stayed in my brain, but it's not good writing. And the pacing is insane. Like, it starts really fast all the way through to the end of the Battle of Autobot City. You get like one minor moment to mourn, and then it just fucking goes again at 1,000,000 miles an hour and never slows down. And I know from experience of trying to introduce this movie to people in the past that, like, around halfway through, usually when Galvatron attacks Autobot City again, they just want to stop watching. Like, did you guys feel a similar kind of fatigue there?
Yes.
Yeah.
I was so relieved that it was over. I was like, oh, it's... I can breathe again. It was exhausting to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It totally is. So there's a lot of stuff talking about things like that. There is, however, one take that I want to specifically read out, because first time I read it, I immediately kind of recognized it as like, I get you didn't like the film, but I think this is the wrong angle to criticize it. So it's specifically being critical of Unicron, and I want to sort of dispute it. So it's from the LA Times. The great animated villains, like the Wicked Queen in Disney's Snow White, had motivations as compelling as any live-action character. Unicron apparently destroys entire worlds because it has nothing else better to do. Which is a diagnosis, sure, but I think the wrong take. Because I think Unicron, much like his very obvious inspiration, Galactus, is more of like a Lovecraftian creature. It's this literal cosmic horror that exists out in deep space. And it's so big, it eats entire planets, and it's hungry all the time. I think that's good. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's... I didn't like question its motives at any point. I was just like, it's a big planet, it's evil,
It's
wants
a
to eat
threat.
things.
Yeah.
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 Exactly.
Right.
It doesn't need to scheme. It doesn't need to plan. It doesn't have to have an ambition. It just wants to eat, and you happen to be food. I think that's kind of brilliant.
Yeah.
Honestly.
It's like, how many thingies, like, literally, like, fucking lions and shit in nature, they don't go and eat some gazelle because it killed its wife or something, you know what I mean? Like, it's just doing it because it's hungry. It's not, it doesn't have to have a mad motivation, like, it's not like a Thanos or something, you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. I think trying to dissect films in the way that this LA Times reviewer has tried to, and I see happen a lot regarding discourse online, is a really reductive way to talk about films, and it often results in these weird, like, oh, well, this doesn't make any sense because, I didn't... And in actual fact, in going into season 3, we learnt more about the origins of Unicron, and the more we learnt about him, the less cool he gets, honestly. It's better to just keep some of these things as some creature that's out there, and that's cool. So with that being said, what we're going to do now is go round in a circle and give any final thoughts we have on the movie, and each individually give it a score out of 10, and then see where it ranks in a list of the best to worst movies of all time. Amelia, kick us off.
Cool, yeah. I mean, I kind of feel how I felt on Space Jam with this one, where because it's not necessarily something I've grown up with, and for some reason, like, even my brother was never massively into Transformers. Like, he had the toys, but he was into other things. So, like, Transformers hasn't really been, like, a huge thing in my life, whereas I can totally understand, like, why people like it. The aesthetic's cool. It's such, like, a nostalgic thing, and, like, so I get it. But for me personally, I'm just like, yeah, it was cool, but it wasn't necessarily my thing. Like you say, looking at it from a film point of view, the animation's quite cool, and like there's a lot of effort that's obviously gone into that. So I can't really go too far down because like it's a big project to make. But just from a personal point of view, I think I'd probably have to give this movie about 5, halfway.
That's fair. Jacob?
I mean, yeah, I've already expressed how exhausting this was to watch. It was a lot. I want to like Transformers so badly. I feel like it would be something that's just cool. Stuff that transforms into other stuff.
Yeah.
Genius.
I mean, you've seen Bumblebee, haven't you?
I have. Bumblebee is good.
It's a much better experience than this, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes.
Like, Bumblebee represents for me what I've always seen in the good parts of Transformers, that I want to see being the main thing that Transformers does.
Yeah.
So yeah, I totally get it.
Yeah. I mean, kind of the point of Transformers is they're robots in disguise. That's not what this movie was at all. Really, they just transform. Like, can they drive faster than they can run? Do they run faster than they drive? Why do they transform?
I mean, they transform on Cybertron. I think it is just like an ease of transport. Oh god, there's that bit. Sorry, I've just remembered it.
Go on.
When Galvatron goes to attack Autobot City, there's a bit where one of his henchmen, Scourge, goes, "Want me to gut Ultra Magnus?" And he's like a plain boat thing. But his little head pops out of the back of it as he's saying it, and it's fucking hilarious, just as a visual. I can't get it out of my head. And he's got a beard. Why has he got a beard? Sorry.
It's all right. But yeah, I feel like a lot of the transforming was quite inconsistent. Like, do some of them transform into one thing? Some of them transform into two, but only kind of when they need to. They can change size drastically. Megatron is the same size as like some of his like Starscream and Soundwave, but when he transforms into a gun, he's a little pistol in their hand that they can hold with one hand.
He can also, in the show, he sometimes transforms into a gun that humans can hold. Like, he can get even smaller.
Oh my god.
I know you like pop-up tents are a thing where they drastically get suddenly bigger, but it was quite off-putting, I guess. And also when Thingy's in that suit and he's like, oh, if you believe hard enough, you can do anything, like transform, and he just becomes a little car and he's just driving. I don't know. A lot of it was. I don't feel any nostalgia for it. I want to like Transformers. I don't think this is the thing that Transformers is good. When I first finished the film, I wanted to say I would much rather watch the Michael Bay ones over this. I don't think that's quite true. Maybe the first one. I think that's the best Michael Bay Transformers film.
I'll give you that, yeah.
Maybe I'd prefer to watch that one, but I think I'm going to give this... it's not going to be nice. 3.
Fair. Joe?
I mean, I'm definitely saying similar stuff. Like, I'm not... Like, I had Transformers when I was younger, I feel like everyone had Transformers when they were younger. Like, whether you liked it or not, everyone had a Transformer. Everyone I know had a Transformer. But I didn't know many people who were into it. I knew some people who were really into it. But, I was not really into it. I was saying to someone the other day that my nan used to think I was into it. So she used to buy me Transformers. Yeah. She used to buy me Transformers, and what I used to do, I didn't play Transformers with them. She'd buy me like the ones that turn into like jets and cars and stuff. And I would transform them into the vehicle. And what I would do is, I would take my Action Men. I was playing Action Man with my Action Men and whatever. But then my Action Men would be like, oh, we gotta escape, or the enemy's escaping, da-da-da. I'd have them like walk over to a vehicle which I'm picturing in my head. And then once they got into the vehicle, I'd then switch to the Transformers. And like, oh, the bad guy's getting away in a jet, let's chase him in this Jeep. And I'd be like flying with the jet and the Jeep. And that's how I would use my Transformers, mostly. As like cars for my action scenes in my head when I was playing Action Man. And this actually is the first ever Transformers film I've ever watched.
Holy shit.
This is the first Transformers anything that I've watched.
I mean, with the exception of Bumblebee, which is pleasant, it's only downhill from here, mate.
Oof. So I've heard. But yeah, it's literally the only time I've ever like sat down and like focused on a Transformers thing for the whole duration of it. The story's not great. I have no nostalgia for it. But I appreciate the art style, like I said before. I can see where it's influenced modern art, like today, and so for that reason, I'm gonna give it. I don't know. I was gonna give it a 4, maybe. Yeah, I'll give it a 4, just because of the art style and also that really cool sound they make when they go. That cool as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, that like thingy sound plus Star Wars sound effects that are in it as well. So there you go. Yeah.
Oh my god.
I think, to be honest with you, you've all been very generous. As someone who does have the nostalgia for it, to kind of counter your story, Joe, I was so massively into Transformers that when I was playing with my toys, I would get toys of regular cars and flip them upright, and now they were Transformers. I loved this. This is one of the few movies that I watch several times a year. I don't really have like holiday movies. I'm not big enough into Christmas movies. This movie usually goes on at Christmas because we work in retail and I get really upset and I need something to give me serotonin, and that's this movie.
What a vibe.
But it is 100% nostalgia. Like, to look at this film as from a critical standpoint, it does not hold up. The take about like Unicron being oncoming death and the Matrix and Hot Rod representing youthfulness and life and hope and daring to be stupid is tenuous at best. It kind of works, but I do not believe it to be the intent of the creators. The intent of the creators was, we have to sell new toys, so let's have them do cool things.
Let's kill a bunch.
And we have to make sure kids don't want the old toys, so let's get rid of them. It's cynically motivated to its very, very, like, every single tier. No one cared about this as a creative product, except maybe the animators, who clearly, like, most of the time put a lot of effort in. There's some weird animation errors in this, like, from a technical standpoint. There's some times where the animation errors are like, for example, when Optimus Prime dies, there's 2 that stand out to me every time. One where he's passing over the Matrix and there's a second Matrix in his chest. Like, it's just part of the animation model and it doesn't leave him. Wow. And then when Ultra Magnus is putting it in his chest, it's a bit where his chest opens up and then the Matrix sort of jump cuts to being in his chest. Then he pulls it out of his chest and then he puts it back in. And during like a really pivotal scene, those animation errors should not be showing up. This wasn't a universal thing across the the 80s with animated movies. There was plenty of really stellar animated movies that are coming out across the time that do not have those things. Animation errors show up in the cartoon a lot, in the TV show, because the TV show was made for 25 cents and a pack of chewing gum. But this had a budget, and it's not really like as acceptable. The voice cast is insane. I don't know what ploy they used to get this many people in this fucking movie. It's kind of amazing.
That's where the budget went.
Unsurprisingly, Judd Nelson and Leonard Nimoy did not reprise their roles for the TV show. Frank Welker ended up coming back to play Galvatron instead of Megatron. Gave him a slightly different voice. I'm not sure off the top of my head who ended up playing Hot Rod. Sorry to whoever that was, but it was someone else. But that being said, the voice talent that was there was really giving it their all. I can't think of anyone that really turned in a bad performance. There's annoying characters, but there's no real bad performances. Orson Welles in particular, who I've got no idea what was going through his head when he was reading those lines, still knocks it out of the park.
No.
Yeah, this movie sits in a weird place because from a film standpoint, it sucks and it deserved to have been reviewed badly. But when I was 10... it was the exact thing I wanted, needed, and it's the reason the shelf behind me looks the exact way it does. So, purely to give Bumblebee space to breathe, I'm going to give it a 9. My nostalgia is so strong that it would have gotten a 10, but I want to admit that there's better Transformers films out there, and that would be that. But, I mean, as far as films go, Bumblebee still isn't even a 10. Like, it's just kind of like, the bar was so low.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It just had to get over it, and that's all it did. It doesn't do a triple backflip while it gets over it. It just goes over it. Like, that's it. But I'm still giving this a 9 because I love it. So that gives us an overall score of 52.5 out of 100, which places it... Oh, shit, no. We've got to actually ask one question.
Okay.
So... I'm fairly certain I know where this is going to go. Amelia, do you prefer Transformers the movie or Free Fire? Ben Wheatley's Free Fire.
I apologise to Transformers for Free Fire. I'll keep it quick.
Jacob?
Yeah, Free Fire. Also, real quick, this movie is called, like, The Transformers the Movie.
It's called The Transformers the movie, yes.
That threw me off. But yeah, no, I'm not giving it to The Transformers the movie. I prefer Free Fire.
Joe?
I'm going to pick Transformers. No, I'm not really. I think
Yeah, that's fair. Obvious which one I would have picked, but like in all honesty, yeah, Free Fire is a much better made film. Would recommend if you've not seen it. So that places it at number 39 on the list of the best worst movies of all time. Which brings us to the most important part of the show, and that's finding out what we're going to be watching next time. Amelia, let us know.
Hello, yes. Yeah, so I didn't really know what to pick with this. I was like, do I go for something I really like? Do I go for something kind of relevant to like what season we're in? But like, this is the last one. And so I kind of thought, this is kind of, I want to say it's going to be a 180 in like tone and everything, because this is obviously a kids film. But this is a pretty brutal kids film in part, so maybe it's not going to be much different. I only watched this film for the first time earlier this year, and I really liked it. And so I thought we'd have a chinwag about it. We're going to be watching Fargo.
Ooh.
good film.
It's really good. Yeah. Well, I went
film.
into it thinking it was going to be like really boring, but we finished it and we were like, holy shit, that was really good.
Yeah. It's crazy.
But-
You go
Oh my
into
god,
it
I've
thinking it's
only
gonna
just
be-
realised,
Yeah.
because you were saying a complete 180 because it's a kid's film. Which movie's Fargo? What am I? I'm thinking of
Fargo's the
something
one
else.
with Frances McDormand. And
It's
You
the
think
one-
of Rango,
Coen
one,
Brothers.
the comedian.
that's the
in it,
Johnny
in the
Depp
whole
one,
line.
yeah,
That's the John Depp one where he plays like a lizard or something.
I'm
Fargo's the
Googling
one
it.
where it's like all it's set.
there's
in,
it's got a TV show, but I'm on about the film came first and then they did a
the
I was
TV
gonna
show.
say-
the one.
Is Fargo's a kids movie?
No.
No.
I mean, like,
Oh,
Transformers is
that's-
a kids movie and it's pretty brutal, but like this
say.
is like no, yeah.
I
So
don't think Coen Brothers did. Well, Bill Murray thinks Coen Brothers do, but you know.
Yeah.
Oh man, holy shit, cool. Well, that makes sense. I'm very confused. I was thinking of Rango, honestly. Jacob.
I mean, that's weird enough as it is. So.
So yeah, cool. Thanks very much for joining us on this episode on The Transformers, the movie. Rolls off the tongue. Let us know what you think of this movie and the episode in the comments down below. If you've been watching us on YouTube, consider hitting the like button and the subscribe button. If you've been listening to us on your favorite podcasting apps, you can also hit the follow button, the subscribe button, whatever it happens to be. And if you want to find us on each respective platform, you can search for the Outtakes Movie Podcast. We'll come right up. You can also follow us on Twitter and Instagram by searching for at the real Outtakes, and you can send us an email if you like at the outtakesmoviepod@gmail.com. Got there in the end. That's the one. Thanks very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.